All right, so friends, this next segment we're going to talk about something that I know you've seen because you've seen the On Tour movie. The thing that you probably are not familiar with is this. You saw it, you just didn't know that you saw it. You see that EP, that blue jumpsuit right there that the crew wore? Got something to show you right here. Bring it on in, Bob. There is one right there. That is the real deal. It is embroidered is what it looks like. You know, where they put it in a machine that created the EP. It's not like a heat transfer or anything like that. Would you agree with that?
I would, yes.
Yeah. And what's it called? It says Bill Perry.
Yep, it's a Bill Perry, and the original tag, you know, what we call the care instructions, that's been cut out, it looks like. And it zips up the front and has a really fancy buckle. If you want to zoom in on this, this is what helped me authenticate it.
All right, let's take it to the... You see, that's what the buckle looks like. And there's also a patch right here that looks like lions. It looks like a coat of arms type thing.
And so what I did, and so inside, there's also the label. And I call it pretty much as simple, almost like an oil change jumpsuit. It's a very simple cotton, probably a cotton polyester blend, but like I said, the care label is gone. But it says that it's created by Bill Perry, P-A-R-R-Y, in Pasadena, I'm assuming Pasadena, California.
And it's XXL I see on here.
So it would probably even fit me, but...
Now this is very similar to the jumpsuits that Elvis gave the guys to play football. Yeah. Now it is not the same brand because that brand had a different logo right here and this was different. But it looks very similar. It's a similar type of jumpsuit. So tell us a little bit about the history of this. What do you know about it?
Okay, here's what's so amazing, and I don't even know if you know the whole story of how I ended up with this jumpsuit, but the person I got it from is going to probably see this. And what ended up happening is all these emails that started coming after the January video, all these questions, and direct you here, call this person, go here. A gentleman emailed me and said he had, I think at first he told me he had a roadie jumpsuit from This Is Elvis. Because if you watch This Is Elvis, you see this same jumpsuit in there, which would then, if you're not thinking, that's post-death. This is after he died. But if you go watch, without making a segment too long, you watch On Tour and then watch This Is Elvis, all they did in This Is Elvis is use the footage from On Tour. It's the same footage. So it's just a reuse. There's no new jumpsuits or anything else. And he wanted to authenticate it. Is it from what? How much is it worth? What can I do? And I did. I said, you know, I don't know.
I've never seen one.
I haven't either,
okay.
No. And Grayson doesn't have one. I just talked to him the other day. They don't have one. Nobody else that we know in the industry. And what I did is I wore it to the auction. I wore it to the invitation only. This is the people that have either consigned or bought through that auction. I wore it to that event the night before. Nobody, and I stood out. I got a lot of attention.
I bet.
And so the gentleman, I've never asked if I could share his name, so I'm not going to, but I'm grateful. Because what happened when people say, you know, karma or why things happen, I'm doing this just because of my love of Elvis and a fan. I want people to do the right thing and get the right thing and be happy out there. And I spent a couple weeks trying to get all this information. I told him what different stuff went for. Guard uniform at the gates, and then he called me a couple weeks later and he said, you know, you did your due diligence. You gave me Jeff's phone number, and I know I could consign it to Grayson, but I think this is something you would like. And he did say, and the other, he qualified. He said, if you sell it, it's your right, but I want to sell it to you, and he gave it to me for a very reasonable price and affordable. And I think people, it's because of what Billy has done for all of you folks. Spa guy, I know you'd rather be called Spa guy.
No, it doesn't matter.
I've only known him since January, but I believe I own this now, and I'm the only one in the world right now that we know that has one of these because of what Spa guy has done and the gentleman out of town has done, and so we brought a piece of Elvis history back into the limelight. It sits on a beautiful mannequin in my home, and I'm very grateful. So now you know, I didn't sell it. It didn't get sold in the auction to anybody else. Like I said, I was keeping it. And what's so special about this to me, it was at the pinnacle of Elvis's career, Elvis on Tour in 1972. It won a Golden Globe. This wasn't a little documentary. This was a big deal. It isn't a few seconds on stage. There's several minutes of the guys setting up, the road crew yelling at each other and stuff like that. So So to me, I think it's an amazing part of history. Now, if anybody out there knows somebody that has one of these, tell us.
Yeah, we need to know that.
We need to know.
So I'll put Bob's email up again.
And because a lot of times, it's like I saw about 2 years ago, I saw a napkin sell on eBay for $25. It was a stage-worn scarf. And so what happens is at least the history got out there and someone realized what it was. Unfortunately, the person who owned it or ended up with it didn't understand what they had. So next time you're going in Grandpa's attic, or you know somebody that used to go see Elvis or buy Elvis memorabilia, ask, and know this. Here's the way I describe it. I've always been a fan. I got to see Elvis on stage. So I started as a fan, started collecting, and then started trading, and then getting a little bit more expensive things. And well, if I buy these two and sell one, I can afford this. And you start moving up. Pretty soon I own, a couple of jackets. So I'm not wealthy, folks. I've made some really good trades, and I've worked hard to get what I have. And as a result, I've been very fortunate. But in return, as you keep leaping forward into that collecting, now you're getting into that realm of just straight collectors, that all they do is, I don't turn my lights on and off doing any of this. I have a job, I have a family and hobbies, and this is it. I don't do this for money. There's people that do this just for money, and understand some do it for money better than others. And I'm not here to try to put anybody down, but if you send someone 3, 4, 5 emails and you're still not comfortable, then don't give them your money. If they tell you, hey, if you don't buy it, it's gone, especially with scarves right now, I hate to say this, if you have a scarf you want to sell right now, scarves, I'm not going to say they're an all-time low. In my meeting with the Graceland people, they've plateaued and leveled off. I watched a scarf sell for $8,000, I think in 2014 at the Graceland auction. The person who ever bought that's got to be saying, oh my God, I could get it for $1,100 now. And so I'm not saying wait, because you could be dead before you ever get one, but I'm saying ask questions, ask around, do your searches, email me. I can always ask other people. Call Graceland.
Know that there are sharks in the water.
Yes, and that's what I realized when I was down here this week, and that's what we kind of determined. And I just talked to another, I'll say his first name, Fred, and he's a very nice man. He's been collecting for years, was at the auction, been doing this a long time. And he agrees, there's sharks in the water, and some bite and some don't. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. So,
don't get taken, is what he's saying. Ask questions if you're not comfortable. And Bob is one source. So you could use Bob as a source and go to other people, and then make an educated guess. Form a hypothesis before you sell stuff. Make sure that you spend the right amount of time. Do your due diligence.
Yeah, and if someone seems flustered, like I had a person I sold a scarf to, who then contacted me back, this is last week, and said, I would like her home address in the letter. Well, she lives in assisted living, and I thought, you know what? And now she's worried that now that she sold this scarf, could this have been an asset she didn't disclose? So I just said, you know what? Instead of just being mean or argumentative, it's like, you know what, she's uncomfortable giving out her home address at this assisted living center because she thinks that could affect her financial assistance there. And I said, if it's a deal breaker, then let me know and I'll bring the scarf to Memphis and sell it here. And after he thought of it, no, it's not a deal, but you have that dialogue. Talk to the people and make sure you're comfortable before you spend your money or sell your artifact. You know, there's some stories that have come up since January, really good ones and a couple of bad ones. And just know, if someone keeps telling you it isn't worth that much, it isn't worth that much, they know something you don't know. If they keep contacting you to sell your item to them, oh, one other thing, I want to say this before we do anything else. If you email me and you own something that you know to be authentic, because either Elvis handed it to you or it can't be fake, and you want to ask me what I think it's worth, but you're not interested in selling it, be honest with me. If you're not interested, I guess here's what someone told me. If someone knows that it's real, if they're asking you what it's worth, it's for sale.
Most likely.
Because somebody kept contacting me about a scarf, said I'm not really interested. I said you should probably hang on to it. I got kind of led around by some people, and it turned out she did want to sell it, and she probably sold it for probably a third of what she could have got, or half.
So she got the shark.
She got the shark because I was a little naive, and I'll be honest, someone skilled in the arts said, Bob, if they own, it's like me. I'm not going to call anybody and ask what Ed Parker's jacket's worth because it doesn't matter, it's not for sale. But if I was thinking of selling it and needed some money, then I might probably ask those questions. And I just want to say that. And I don't know all the answers. I do know some people that know more than me. Some are willing to help me for free and some are more not. And that's back to that shark or a little bit bigger fish. So I just want to say that. But I just want to say thanks for watching the videos because I've learned so much. Make sure you go watch Ted jump over the fence.
That's right. You got to watch the Ted fence jump.
And one other
Tennessee
thing.
Ted.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in this for me. So remember, if I don't have any chips in this center pot here, that means I don't have any reason to make this up. Subscribe, because I have missed so many videos because I just kept watching them. I didn't know about these till January. Subscribe and then you get to know. It's free. Nobody's going to sit there and spy in your mailbox or bring you up because I see some pretty expensive camera equipment. That's kind of my hobby, and obviously it's not getting donated to you, so it's got to get paid for. And
I don't do this for money like you, but it requires money.
Yeah.
But irregardless, that's not what we do this for. But when you subscribe, it doesn't cost you a penny. All that does is alert you when a new video is out.
Right.
And as of today of the filming of this, I have 229 Elvis videos on my channel.
And see, and I had missed some of those, and so someone had called me and said, you got to watch this guy jump over the fence. And just to give you a little quirk, people talk about Elvis and all these things. What really moved me is this guy walking through Elvis's yard at Graceland. There's cars out there. There's a pickup truck up on blocks, which tells me he's a regular guy. And if you don't get to see that, you don't get to know that Elvis was a real guy that went out there with a ratchet and took off tires and jacked things up and just had, because you don't see that. You look at this beautiful mansion they call it, you're ready to go in the mansion. I call it the house because he called it the house all the time because for him it was a house. He lived that way but didn't want to stay that way. And that's what I enjoy.
Well, we want you to know the real Elvis, the man Elvis. It's easy to see the icon. There's plenty of that.
A lot.
There's plenty of movies and records and all that kind of stuff. We want you to know the other side of the coin, but we also want to capture history, things like this right here. So if you happen to know where one of these jumpsuits is, contact Bob, let him know, and these things are very marketable.
And if you don't want to sell it, just say you don't want to sell it. Nobody's gonna bug you to sell it, but if you are interested in selling, especially if it's authentic stuff like this, Graceland people, Jeff Marin, he's the consignment director. I've known him for 5 years now, very approachable man. Just call Graceland and push 0 and talk to Regina at the desk. That's her little island in front. She'll talk to you and guide you. It's not a perfect world out there. You're going to run into some employees everywhere. They've got hundreds of them here, so every now and then you might get one that might bark at you a little bit, like the one that trying to get the people to back out of the driveway. Because I was at the corporate office before I came here, and a woman pulled up, walked in the door, and said, "Hi, is this where we get our tour tickets?" Clearly, it's the corporate office for Elvis Presley Enterprises, but not everybody knows.
Well, they didn't do a very good job now, and in EPE, I'm talking to you. When y'all moved the offices to the back there, you didn't put any additional signage up that tells people where to go buy tickets.
They don't.
So unless you don't know that that's back there. Please put some signs up.
Yeah, you see the parking, Graceland
well, that's
parking.
why that guy got yelled at. He thought you drove up to the mansion to get the tickets.
And so I do, and that's why I said it's not perfect. I love coming down here. I want to be able to afford to come every January and every August. Because I get to meet, and now of course the first thing that happened to me, I walked into the hotel, this couple's looking at me and I'm talking to you, you're going to see you on the video, and I'm on my phone with my wife, and I just want to throw it in because this is what this is about. This couple's looking at me and they're the only ones in the lobby, and I said, "Someone's looking at me funny, I'll call you back." And I said, "Something wrong?" And she goes, "Are you Bob Foley?" And I'm like, "Yes. You were on the Spa Guy video. We emailed you 2 months ago, and you referred us to John Daly because we really wanted a scarf, and we got it 2 weeks ago. We're so thrilled." And I'm like, beautiful. It's like everything just worked nice. So I was really excited about that, and that's why we're doing it. We're not doing it to make John money, Grayson, or anybody else, but he's one of the guys down here, and everybody seems to know who he is, and I've done business with him, and I know that he's a trustworthy guy, so that's why I don't mind saying his name, and so I'm excited about it.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Bob, man. It was a big deal you bringing all that stuff for us. Friends, he's got the real stuff. And he gave us a little bit of insight, a little bit of knowledge, especially on those tour jackets. Don't get taken with these tour jackets. Make sure if you're trying to get an authentic tour jacket, there's not many for one thing, but make sure that you're not paying real tour jacket money for a fake. That's the biggest thing. And thank y'all so much for watching. If you're interested in the scarf, it is for sale. It may already be sold by the time this thing airs, so we'll see.
Well, what's funny is that scarf that I had in that first segment that I just happened to have with me,
Yeah.
I think about 10, I could have sold 10 of those if I would have had 10 of them. Because a lot of people, even, can I buy the scarf that you had in the video?
It's in the video.
It was already sold
Yeah.
at the time. I was taking it to ship
Yeah.
it, but there's more, and I'll ask around. I have a piece of paper in my pocket right now, someone that wants me to find them a scarf, because I don't sell my collection generally. And so I'm going to try to find this person a scarf. I may find one right away. It may take me a month or two. I don't know.
That's right. Well, tighten up and subscribe, friends. Email Bob Foley if you want to authenticate anything, find information, get that kind of stuff. And thank y'all so much for watching.